Hello, if you magically tuned in immediately, I'm going to be building an amp again tonight. So join me please while I continue my work on building an amp in this RCA chassis. All right. Get the stream up on my laptop. Man, I think this would be simpler. Well, nice to see some people joining. Midnight, dang, yeah. That's why I never talk to my friends on the East Coast. It's like by the time I think of it, which is usually sort of late, oh, I wonder what so and so. It's like, yeah, but it'd be 2 a.m. there or something. So thank you for joining in. I know it's late. All right, let's see. I'm supposed to tell you things like, well, I turned on monetization. I think that means super chats are a thing, which is where you pay me money to make a chat comment that I'm going to see your chat comments anyway. It's so unseemly, hawking that kind of thing. So I'm just going to say that it's a thing and leave it at that. All right. Where was I? I was, well, building an amp, but I think, yeah, the last thing I did to catch you up is I got done with the cathode bias network on the input and phase splitter stages, and that network is shared between the two stages. And so I don't know, there were some dead air moments where I had to sit here and just figure out what the hell I needed to do to run wires and so on. Anyway, I've got wires. These are the feedback, 68K feedback to here. Well, what's here? That's connected actually to the cathode there and there, as it should be. And then there's this 1.5K to ground. And over here, there's 22K and 1K or something. Let's see, what is that? I think that's 1K. And a meg. The meg is actually the grid leak resistor, yeah, for the phase splitter. Got a couple more 1 megs here that'll be the grid leak for the input stage. Yeah. I'm going to try to keep at least an occasional eye on the chat. so you can feel free to chime in, and especially let me know if like I managed to stick the lamp like in front of the work so that you can't see anything. Anyway, hello, hello, hello out there in YouTube land. Testing, testing. Are we receiving? Kenneth, what's the frequency? All right. So where was I? I was where I've clearly got 4 resistors hanging out here. I need to get my schematic. And I'll just, I don't know, I'll see if you can see this. Oops. Here's the schematic. Does it get any more rinky-dink than this? Just let me know. Really, does it any more rinky-dink? I'm sitting here live streaming on my phone, monitoring the chat by just pulling up the live stream on my YouTube channel. I know there's more sophisticated and smooth ways to do this, but you know what? I ain't got time for all that. I just wanted to live stream, so I'm doing it. Anyway, I got all this stuff done last night, and now I need to do the rest of it. Yeah. I mean, will I get it done tonight? Probably not. You know, look, anytime you're working at night, and it is 9 o'clock in the evening here, I know on the East Coast it's midnight, so any of you all will know that late night work is just generally not nearly as productive as, say, first thing in the morning work or any work done during the day. So this is gonna go kind of slow, just because I don't want to screw it up. I'll tell you, just, you know, like I should be exhausted, but I'm kind of amped on the caffeine that was required to get me and my students home in one piece tonight. I took 5 students out into the Oregon Coast Range today, into an old growth forest and a stream, and we did a bunch of measurements. And it was a hike in and out, and they're not awfully strenuous, but you know, I got up pretty dang early. I only had like, you know, about 4 hours sleep last night. Now that may sound horrible to most of you, but that's actually pretty normal for me. Not that I don't need more, I just don't take more on a regular basis, and I tend to sleep in on weekends. Probably tomorrow I will sleep till noon or so. Sometimes I'll sleep till 2, just catching up, because Jesus, if I'm going to go through the week getting 3 or 4 or 5 hours of sleep every night, I got to catch up sometime or I will die. Why do I live this way? You know, yeah, why? I don't know. Anyway, all that wonderful stuff said, let's see where we are with the chat. What's up with my... Why is this not being... Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with the chat. I can't like I can't manipulate it, and I can't get to where I would answer. It's going off the... Did I mention this is Rinky Dink? All right, let's see here. See, thank you. What about 455 kilohertz? Most unimpressed with that are popular vintage ones. What have I been unimpressed with? You know, I like speakers. They all sound different. Let me think about this for a second. I don't know. Nothing comes to mind off the top of my head. Remind me later maybe, and I'll see if I can think of something that Meanwhile, I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on with this friggin'. I don't think I want to X out. No. Yes, live chat. What the hell is going on here? Okay, there we go. My computer, my laptop is old and slow, and it's just the way it is. I know, right? The ladies building radios. It's quite a vision. Oh, the frequency. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a little slow. Well, the other thing is that there's like a 20, 30-second lag between when I say things and when they appear on the stream. At least that's what the case was last night. Clips, yeah. I've generally been pretty. I haven't tried. I've liked the clips when I've heard them. I don't have a lot of experience with listening to them, but I've got my friend in Arkansas with La Scalas, and those sound nice. They don't blow my socks off, and you maybe I guess I suppose I wasn't like super duper impressed with them and that they didn't blow my socks off. But then again, you got it. Well, I don't know. Yeah, this seemed fine. They are impressive how much volume they can put out with very little power. That's for sure. Yeah, hi from Maryland. Yeah, I know it's late there. I had planned to get started much earlier, but I'll just say, my son started talking to me, and I started talking to my son, and yeah, no, those are times you don't cut short on purpose. So, yeah, good night to all those on the East Coast. I will be losing you, I'm sure. Anyway, let me get down to business here. Try to keep my light out of the shot and still make it so I can see what I'm doing. So, schematic back. Did I mention that evening hours are not very productive? Yeah. Anyway. Oh yeah, one of the things I did last night was cut I ran out of terminals. I had run separate wires from the secondary B plus to a lug strip to a lug, and I don't need to do that. I can go directly from, and so that's probably what I ought to do next. The trick always is, all right, let me discuss construction and how it's done. There are, and most of what I've learned about ant building that I haven't just sort of picked up from other people, including people on YouTube, is from reading. Most of the reading I've done has been Morgan Jones, and he has two very interesting books. If you're into, maybe building apps for yourself, I'll show you, because I finally decided it was time for me to actually buy hard copies of these. So we have valve amplifiers. Let me see how this is oriented on screen. Okay, totally upside down. Awesome. Here we go. So this is valve amplifiers. This is the 4th edition. Part of what I'm building here is described in the 3rd edition of this book, but is not described in this one. And then we have building valve amplifiers, 2nd edition. These are both very useful books. This one will take you from the ground up, literally from resistors and capacitors to building an amplifier. This one discusses all sorts of, everything from metalworking, cutting. How do you cut a hole in a chassis in order to install, say, a modern power input module? Use a diamond wire saw. I learned about diamond wire saws from this book. Anyway, that was to preface that one of the things he talks about in the Building Valve Amplifiers book is wiring strategies, schemes, etc. And the one I typically follow is the three-dimensional. That is, I'm not using a printed circuit board, and I'm not trying to mimic a circuit board in my layout. I am taking advantage of the fact that the chassis, putting wires right up next to the chassis is generally a good thing, but and I'm doing things like crossing where wires have to cross, they cross at right angles. This bit here is a little sketch. I ideally would have these two farther apart, but there's a sharp screw sticking through here, and I don't want to mess with that. Anyway, the sort of three-dimensional design utilizes the vertical space you have in order to keep components and signal wires a little bit further apart. But if you're not careful, it devolves into chaos. And even if it doesn't actually devolve into chaos, it probably looks like chaos when you're done. And one of the tricks, of course, is to figure out, like, okay, what's going to go in the bottom, and then what needs to be higher up, or what should be higher up. And so that is all to explain that I am sort of agonizing just a little bit, or at least giving thought to what goes in next, because what goes in next should be next, and I'm going to have to build on top of that. And once I build on top of that, once I put in anything on top of what's already here, it becomes more difficult to get back to and mess around with or edit or fix issues lower down. Kind of duh, but anyway. So, twisted wires for power. I screwed this one up, but all the other wires are twisted that have AC. When I say screwed up, I mean it's connected to the right place, but I should have twisted these wires together. That's the power coming in from, I'm sorry, that's the power's going to the primary of the power transformer. Home of the blob, all right. Okay. Yeah, I understand the phone thing. I usually watch YouTube on my phone, so yeah, I get that. All right. Anyway, I've got resistors here. I need to put them in. I'm thinking what I should do now is the plate resistors to the input tube here. There's 22 Ks, so these need to go from, high voltage, which is the output of this regulated supply here, and the output of the regulated supply here, to pin number 1. Okay then. And over here, that's about the least convenient. Not quite the least convenient pin to have to go to, but well, then we do what we do. So that means I gotta go from here to here, and that's great. Got these friggin' heater wires. They're really hard to get down. I get up, I get down. Okay. just do this thing here. Start here. Okay. So the other thing is like these little, if you're familiar with tube sockets and the connectors on the other side, this sort has 2 holes. And so generally, you should, the first thing you put in probably should use the bottom hole. And, but of course, the top hole is more convenient. But yeah. That lamp's in the way, isn't it? I didn't even turn on the soldering iron yet. Oh my God. Luckily, that soldering iron is pretty awesome. It's a Weller WES 51. It warms up pretty fast. There it is. Almost accidentally closed that hole up completely, which I don't want to do because I still need to put another resistor in there, which is the one that goes to the input stage, 150K. I need to check to make sure I didn't just screw up majorly, because sometimes the plate resistors actually need to be high power rating, have higher power rating. Let's see what the original schematic says. That's not what I want. There we go. HQ20. No, just a regular 5%. Okay, good. I didn't screw up. Sweet. But wait a minute. What did I do with? There we go. And this is a new resistor, it just looks raggedy. I put it in something apparently and then ripped it back out. But, you know, there we go. Okay. So 50 goes to pin 6. Okay. Right there. Oh, the smell of burning flux. Sorry, I was trying to come up with some clever variation of I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like victory. But it came up empty. Right. Yeah, boy, I did screw that up. Take a scary view for a sec here. Yeah. Thought. Doesn't matter. It's fine. It is fine. Let's dump some more solder in there. Close that up completely. Call it good. Good. Use more careful strategic placement. There we go. Taking advantage of my ability to get that a little bit further away from those heater wires. Here I had no choice but to run it straight over the heater wires, but here I can get it away more. But shit. I gotta leave myself room, and that kind of blocked off the... Alright, well, revisit that later. Okay, other channel. This is my 150K, right? Yep. And this is the 22K. Alright. From here to pin 1. That's not so bad. And to pin 6. Not bad at all. Nice. Okay. Just I need to, I have to keep in mind that I'm going to have to put coupling capacitors on both of those places as well. So I want to leave myself the space to do that. And I did not do a great job of that right here. You know, in fact, before I make it more difficult, I'm going to undo this because I should have come at that, uh, I should have come at that from the other side. Time for the sucker. You know, I should really get these guys to sponsor my channel, don't you think? I mean, I think I sold one of these last night to Bob. All right. Come on. There we go. All right. That should do better. So I just wanted to do that because I'll need to take a coupling cap off of here and go to one of these. Can't remember which right off the top of my head. Figure it out later. That is the 22. Okay, now we can do the other channel. Again, 22 goes to pin 1. Oh. Same issue. Just So one of my students today said that of all his professors, I had the least generic musical taste. As we rolled in, I was playing the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. He's like, I love the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. It's like, yeah, I'm cool like that. I'll mention I only found out about the Yeah Yeah Yeahs pretty recently because Chris turned me on to them. I'm keeping that in the way on purpose because I can't forget to put it onto this power supply when I'm done putting all the stuff in that needs to go underneath it. Boo. 150s here. Pin 6. That one. Okay. Again, I'm going to come in from this side. This might work out. If I curse, you'll know. You won't know. Fill. There we go. Toasty. Toasty. So that was the last thing that should go in that lug. So I went ahead and closed over the hole with solder. I think in general that's good practice. You don't want random open loops. It's not the end of the world if you can't get it closed, but it's better if you can, I think. At least it seems to make sense to me that it would be. And also, if it's totally closed, then you really know that the component is soldered in there. So now I think I will stay with the theme of putting in resistors and deal with the inputs. From the inputs, I need to go grid leak is 1 meg to ground, and then I need to take, and I'm using a grid stopper, so that'll be a 10K to pin 7, this one here, similarly over here. Alright. Now I guess this can just, well, So do I do this, or do I simply go to the ground lug there that's already connected to ground? It would keep it less cluttered if I just go to that. Let me think about if that's a good idea. Oh, it makes it a little less star groundy to do that. And it's not hard to go to the bus. Physically, putting it in building wise, it actually have to do quite a bit of trimming to get it into that little lug. So yeah, I'm gonna do that thing. Also get myself the 10Ks that need to go in there. Oops. Well, that seemed to be a perfectly good 10K. Again, we're going to pin 7. Yes, indeed. This is the only thing that will be connected directly to pin 7, so I can, well, and the bottom hole isn't even open, so it's good that I don't need to open it. Let's go to the top hole, no problem. All right. Anyway, it was a good day. It was a good field trip. The weather was just friggin' perfect. It's like, low to mid 60s, mostly sunny. Um, yeah, just perfect. And nobody got hurt. One guy fell into the water and he was wearing blue jeans of all things. I swear I told him to wear quick dry pants. Or maybe I just mentioned that that's what I would be wearing. And he felt pretty stupid and also was uncomfortable because he got his butt wet. And the water was pretty cold, but it's all good. I mean, except for that. Nobody got lost. Nobody got hurt. All appreciated the experience, I think. Hard to not appreciate going into the heart of darkness like that. If you're any kind of outdoor person, and pretty much every geology major is some kind of outdoor person. You know what I mean? Okay. 10K 1 meg. 10K again goes to here. It's not super ideal crossing, but it's not a big deal. Yeah, not a big deal. It didn't work. I mean, I'm always trying to avoid having to stick liquid flux in here. It's just messy. That's not going to stay. So, as I said last night, liquid flux is what I have instead of a third hand. You apply the flux, then you can apply solder. It's already had the flux burned out of it. That is, glob some on the end of your iron. Use your second hand to hold the component in place while you solder it with the iron with just, so you can see the smoke coming off, that's the flux burning off. All right, so that doesn't have enough flux in it to make it stick to the metal. So I've got flux on there to make it stick. And then I can use tweezers to hold it where I want it. Good. So, got a whole 6 of you watching. Not even sure that one of them's not me, so that might just mean 5 of you. I'm going to mention, mind you, super chats are a thing. I don't intend to say anything like that I expect anybody to give me money. I don't. Just want to say it's a thing. If one were inclined, it would be awesome. It would be appreciated, but not expected. Is that clear? Is that cool? Hate asking for money, and so I'm not going to. I'm simply going to say it's a thing. It would be awesome, not expected. Oh, what the hell? Not an awesome solder joint. Okay. So that's the inputs done. Both grid leaks in position. Okay, yeah, so I need 3 coupling caps. I need 1 coupling cap to go between the input stage and the phase splitter. So from the input plate to the phase splitter grid, which is connecting pins 6 and 2, and then 1 each going from pins 3 and 1 coupling to the output stage, but I'll be going to these lugs here and here and here and here. Here's my capacitors. 100 nanofarads is what the schematic calls for. Here we go. Although, oh, I've only got 2 orange drops. They're ginormous, aren't they? Orange drops are big. And I've only got the 2. But I mean, these are nice. These are, I believe these are polypropylene. They are, yeah, these are MKPs. Kemet, you know, super respectable, nice capacitors, and they're small enough to fit into these cramped spaces. So that's what I'm going to go with. Not trying to make a super boutique amp or whatever. I don't know. These are great. These are fine. They're good. Don't sweat me. I need 6 of those. See, I buy quite a few at a time. I have about 50 when I got these. After this, I might need to get some more. There's one that's already bent out of shape. I'll use that. I'm not done with capacitors, but all right. So those just joining in, got the input wired up, got the plates wired up, got the cathode bias network wired up here and here, and also the feedback network. Output transformers are wired up. Regulated power supplies done. And now it's time to couple stages, couple input to phase splitter and phase splitter to output. So let's do it. First of all, yeah, probably. First of all, plate of input to grid of phase splitter. Pin 6 and 2. 6 and 2. 2. Yeah, that's the only thing connected to 2? No, right, that grid leak. Okay. I got it together here. I know what I'm doing. Really, I do. No fooling. 6 to 2. To 2. To 2. To 2. To 2. there. And then one that goes from pin 3 to, gotta keep my output stage straight. It's kind of tricky. I have to refer to the color coding on the wires. So brown is plate 1. Geez. So from the cathode side of the face splitter, that's going to the plate 2, that's the red wire. This one. Yeah? Primary, or top, bottom of the push-pull. So pin 3 goes to the one that goes here. What's that? That's the wire to the grid. That's the grid stopper there. So this is the lug from pin 3. And I gotta manage to hop over all this other stuff. No sweat. Got plenty of room. I just want to make it fit nicely. Not stick up any farther than it needs to. Just triple check. Red wire, right? Red is plate 2. That's red. 3 goes to plate 2. Oh, that's just not nice. But maybe it's, you could embrace a nickname like that. Claim it. Make it yours. Motorola, damn, that's hardcore, Bob. It's like, you mean some of you guys are actual professionals who really know what you're doing, not just hobbyists like me who took electronics in college? I was a physics major. Okay. That does that. But why did I put it there? I was working on this one. Jeez, man. Yeah, because that's... Okay, red wire, grid here. Because, okay, I'll say, I just, say everything out loud since I'm streaming, right? So, I put this one in place. I didn't solder it in yet because I want to make sure it's not going to be in the way of the other capacitors that I'm going to put in there. So that's the deal. But then being sort of a bonehead, I grabbed a capacitor to put in that position, but I put it on the other channel. I put it where it belongs. That's not a problem. It's just, sometimes you do things a little out of order than, relative to what you were thinking or not thinking, as the case may be. So I'll tell you what kind of nerd I am. You guys are talking about the Blob. I have no clue what you're talking about. I guess it's a movie. Was a movie at some point. See, for me, the Blob is an X-Men character in the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. That's the Blob. That's the kind of nerd I am. Comic book nerd. That'll work. That'll work. But before I... No, he just absorbed all impacts like the guy in the X-Men and became immovable when he wanted to be. All right, the other one goes to pin 1. There. 1 to there. Oh boy, that's a tight spot. It's not bad, but it's tightish, but it's not a problem. I can do this. No problem. It's not even a challenge. Queen, huh? You know, I'm not old enough. I'm old enough to know that Steve McQueen was a big deal, and I'm not really old enough to know why. I mean, I saw The Great Escape. He was awesome in that. But you know, was not old enough for that to be any kind of contemporaneous badassness. I understand that Steve McQueen, before that Stephen McQueen, was sort of a legendary badass. But have I seen any of those movies? Maybe, you know, but we're talking like if I seen those movies, you know, it was like some random event, you know, non-event event on like WTBS or even before it was TBS, WTCG Atlanta, back in the olden times of cable. And we didn't have fancy cable. We had pretty basic cable, but TBS was on basic cable for us when it was a thing. Before that, WTCG. And yes, I watched Georgia Championship Wrestling on WTCG Atlanta. But thanks for the little history. You know, like I said, I know Steve McQueen was a badass, and he definitely was a badass in The Great Escape. But wasn't he? Was he in Magnificent Seven? Shoot, see. Oh, that was just a pretty piss poor soldering. Whatever. It's like capacitor grass now. This is rather cramped quarters. Don't want to put any big burn scars on these things. Hate it when that happens. Go ahead and that. Yeah, now my oldest brother is old enough to have seen the Dark Side of the Moon tour in New York, wherever it was. I mean, he was still in high school, but I don't even know what a horta is. What manner of beast is that? But how do you know it was red and gelatinous if it was a beast? Was it actual the movie actually in color back in those days? I mean that's pretty old time. I um I grew up with a black and white television, so if I did see any of those movies, I only ever saw them in black and white. My my dad had the best hi-fi in town, pretty sure, but we got cheap ass like secondhand black and white TVs growing up. And we didn't even have cable. I mean, well, we did, but not like real cable. I never had MTV growing up, that's for sure. Only ever saw MTV over at friends' houses. I know y'all didn't have MTV growing up either, but you know what I mean. Oh yeah, right. Yeah. So I did watch a lot of Star Trek back in the day, but we had to stay up super late to watch it. Um, like it was on. I remember my friend's parents would let us stay up and watch it. Um, it's on at 11:30 or 10:30 on like Fridays or something like that, and I'd stay the night and we'd watch Star Trek, but then it seems like half the time it would get um, preempted or postponed by like a sporting event or something, and we'd be so bummed because we already stayed up late to watch Star Trek reruns. Yeah, MTV finally died an ignominious, ignoble death. I say it was deserved. They weren't MTV anymore. Bastards. Even if they were on it, we're playing music videos. Anybody can watch everything on YouTube that they want nowadays, I guess. Come on, fill the hole, fill the hole. I never had a remote control for the TV growing up. I wanted to change the channel, you got up and changed it. The chances are I was sitting close enough to the TV already that all I had to do is reach over and change the channel. I mean, I suppose that then I was the remote control for my parents if they wanted to change the channel. We didn't watch a whole lot of TV as a family. You know, we do of course, the Saturday night thing, right? All in the Family and Newhart and Carol Burnett. And, oh, okay. Remote Control was actually a show on MTV. Well, that's just garbage. They never should have gotten away from music videos in the first place. What were they thinking? And Friday nights, Planet of the Apes, and Rockford Files. Sometimes it let me stay up for all of Rockford Files. That it was on at 9 to 10. Bedtime was 9:30. I don't know why I had a bedtime for Friday night, but whatever. Phil! Damn it. Won't fill. I better stop. I'm gonna get too much solder in there. It's gonna screw shit up. I know, right? One thing I'll never forget about that song is I was about to leave for college, and my parents left me to get my own self there. And, well, they went to China. Anyway, I was showing the new tenants the sort of year, you know, they had somebody rent the house while they were in China. And I was, you know, sort of giving them the tour of the basics. And of course, you know, the first thing any reasonable guy in the 80s would want to know was, oh yeah, Love Boat Fantasy Island, of course, yeah. I forgot those because they were always so cheesy. Anyway, so, you know, like I said, my dad had the best system in town, and any self-respecting guy in the 80s would be appreciative of a fat stereo. So I fired it up to show him what it could do. Put it on the radio on the local rock station, and like as if on cue, that song "Money for Nothing" came on, and so like I crank up the volume right in time for that, you know, opening guitar lick. It was just like, well, I don't know if these guys are impressed. I've friggin' am impressed with the way this system sounds. Jeez. I'm still trying to get visitation of it. My sophomore, high school sophomore English teacher, sophomore year English teacher has it. I thought that my mom had given it to her, but she actually did pay money for it. And now I feel a little bit bad about sort of, I don't know, giving off like you should give it to me vibes. Since she actually paid real money for it, apparently. Still want to see it again. I mean, I'd be willing to trade her a grand piano for it. think she wants a grand piano. Plus, how am I going to get a grand piano back to Arkansas? Yeah, totally true. That is a crank it up lick. All right. Where are we at? I've got all the coupling caps in on one channel, and that wasn't even that hard. I like these little MKPs. These are nice. Yeah. Rated at 630 volts, you know, just like standard. But now that I'm seeing how these others are going in, I think I don't want to get one that already has its legs bent wide like that. I think I should get a fresh one. So Bob, you know, I have a brother named Bob. Not my oldest brother, my next older brother, the middle brother. But they're both quite a bit older than me, 8 and 10 years. And way taller. Like, I'm 5'8" on a good day nowadays because I've probably shrunk since, you know, olden times. And those MFs are both over 6 feet. There ain't no justice. All right, what am I doing? That one. And last but not least, again, check, triple check, check again. Goes from pin 6 to pin 2. Just as does that one. Pin 2. Oof, that's a tight spot. That is a tight spot. I tell you what, I'm gonna solder some of this stuff in now. That's easier to have the stuff fixed in place for trying to get with other stuff. Come on, come on. There we go. Nice. Oh yeah, but that's all right. But if I Don't mind me muttering, talking to capacitors. It's okay. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. All right. No. All right. Cool. That'll do. That'll do. Right there. Nice. Get some leads clipped. Get this out of the way before we proceed with getting that other one in there. And okay, this is going to be tight. It's going to be tight. And that's tight. Nope, nothing to do but do it. Just curious, all this sort of muttering that I do and sort of cracking myself up, can you all even hear it? Oof, no room. This is the hard part. Let me get that soldered in. Is that about like the grossest, most disgusting, sticky mess of liquid flux bottle that you've ever seen? Is there any way around that? I don't know. I'm fine with it. It's just, well, I wish it weren't all sticky just to touch the damn thing. Yeah. I am a scientist and I am mad. I'm not sure I qualify as a mad amp scientist, but I'll take it. Yeah, that's you know, I wish I could do better, but that's just gotta So one time, long ago, I used to pull my one or two of my boys on my bike, in this trailer they call a burley, um, and I was riding along with a friend, or I can't remember. I think it was like him and his wife, and they had their kid too. Anyway, we're making a thing of it, and Corbin, my older son, he starts piping up. He wants to get out. He wants to stop, and I'm just like, Corbin, sorry, that's just where you need to be right now. And yeah, my friend got a big kick out of that. Please, Phil. Fine, fuck you. Did I just fuck some shit up or what? Ah. Okay, it's not the end of the world, but I'm trying to clip a lead. I'm sure this has never happened to anybody else. And I clipped through the loop, the pin, the tube pin socket thing. Hate it when that happens. Not the first time, not the last. I better give it some more solder to try harder to close up that hole. Dang it. The amp is formerly an RCA console amp, the RS177A, but it didn't work quite right when I fired it up, and wasn't immediately apparent why it had like unity gain. But the more I looked into it, the more I was like, I don't know whether this is worth figuring out, because everybody says it doesn't have enough gain to begin with. So even if I get it right, it really needs to be modded. And so, and then I was like, in order to figure out, it's like there's only so many things it can be. Seems likely that it's the resistors in this part that are the problem. Might have gone out of spec. I don't know though. And there we go. And so I was like, that's going to be a pain in the butt. And then I'm just going to have to mod it again on top of that to replace those resistors. Nah. So it's a total redesign, rebuild. And the front end is based on the schematic of the HK20, which was I think a rather popular amp in its day. It was a monophonic amp back in, I think, the 50s, because it was mono. So I suppose we're talking like pre-58. And not that I really know that much about it, okay? Anyway, it uses the same input tubes, which are, these are 6CG7s here. 6CG7, if just, maybe maybe you don't, is 6CG7 is the equivalent, the 9-pin equivalent of a 6SN7. And I thought, it'd be nice to build an amp with those tubes that are already, they've already got, because they were in the amp. Somebody else had modded it previously to use as standalone. And I said, well, been wanting to use those tubes in something, I'll keep them. I'll keep it I'll keep the original tube complement, just basically rewire everything else, including using new output transformers. Part of my excuse for doing this at the particular time that I am is that our dear viewer Pierre, for whom I rebuilt a couple of Altec amps over last summer, well, he sent them back to me. Something's wrong, and he seems sure that he screwed it up. I probably screwed it up, but I appreciate him being not just blaming me right out of the box. Anyway, sent those back, and he said, I'd actually rather than just have you fix the problem, as long as I'm bothering to send it all the way back to you, let's upgrade them. I said, well, okay. I've got these output transformers that I've had for a while. I could use those. However, they are sort of budget Chinese transformers. I mean, I say budget, they're lower cost than like any transformers you could get of sort of comparable power and so on, power rating and so on, made in the US or Europe probably. I have used other output transformers made by this company, and they seem fine. They seem good. And but I can't find anybody who will talk about how good they are or not. And I suspect it really comes down to the fact that they are relatively budget transformers from China, and nobody will admit to using them. And so, if they're a candidate to upgrade Pierre's amp, I want to try them in an amp first before I put them in somebody else's amp and then send them back to, I want to make sure they're worth using. And I figure that establishing whether they are worth buying or not will be a service to the community, because finding a good source of output transformers these days is a thing. It's not, it's something that people are kind of stressed about. Those of us who build tube amps, trying to find a decent source for output transformers, man, and not pay a friggin' arm and a leg for them. And come in, and here's the other thing, right? And this is, I'm going to start getting a little, animated here, is, how many of us who build amps and then actually would, we're building them kind of for the fun of it, but it's not like we can keep every amp that we build forever, because we want to keep building amps. And so what are we going to do? Stack them up on the wall? No, we're going to sell them. But we need to, like, in order to make the whole enterprise worthwhile, we need to at least get back what we paid in parts to make them, and preferably, it'd be nice to actually turn a profit, especially if, like me, you have not a hobby that you declare on your taxes. So, all that said, the market is absolutely flooded with cheap amps from China. And, are they and a lot of them really suck. But when it comes down to why they suck for various reasons. They don't all suck for the same reason, right? Some of them suck because they're just bad designs. Some of them suck because they use really like deceptively bad output transformers. Like if you followed Skunky's channel, you know what I'm talking about. No man, if we're gonna build amps and not have to sell them for like $5,000 to make it worth our while, it'd be really nice if we had a source of reasonably priced output transformers. I want to know if these things are any good. So I've got another amp that I built that will have the same output stage as this, and uses Dynaco Z565s. You know the output transformer that's in the SCA35 and the ST35 Dynaco. That amp sounds amazing, and it produces good bass, like down to 20 hertz. It's, those transformers really kick butt. How do these do? I'm super curious and hopeful. What if they're like anywhere near as good as the Dynacos? If they're anywhere near as good, and what if they are as good as the Dynacos? Wow, wouldn't that be a trip? So, long story short, yeah, I'm building this amp for at least a couple of reasons, and yeah, Altec made some great stuff. The amps in question are the Quartet. So there's a pair of Quartets. I forget the model number. They are mono integrated amps, and they're kind of cheaply made. I mean, not super cheaply made. The circuit design is great. Built on a circuit board. It's not necessarily bad, but over time circuit boards tend to go bad, and so I converted it from circuit board design to point-to-point construction. The output transformers on those amps are nothing to write home about. They're kind of on the small side. Like for example, these are the original output transformers for this amp. The ones on the Altex might be a little bigger than these. They're a little bigger than these, but not a whole lot. The ones I'm putting on this one, I will show you. They're beefy. They're bigger than the Dynacos. Oof. Yeah. Those are beefy output transformers. I'm using the original RCA power transformer. And yeah, there we go. Got tape all over one of them because I had to touch up the paint job I did on the top. So that's the amp I'm building. Oh, well, I didn't really even get all the way through it, did I? Man, I am long-winded. So anyway, the input stage is based on the HK20, Harman Kardon HK20. The output stage is going to be a clone of the Morgan Jones Beavis Valley, or I have built one of those already, and I call it the Beaver Valley, just because I live in Corvallis, Oregon, home of the Beavers. All right. So that's what I'm doing. That's the input stage, and coupled to the output stage. You know what, actually? No, okay, yeah. I still need to do the grid leak. Well, not grid leak. Anyway, grid leak, but also, sorry, muttering. What needs to still be done? I've already got so there's a cathode biased output stage, and the cathode bias resistors are these chassis mounted ones on top. I still need to put in the cathode bypass capacitors. I need to put in the grid leak resistors for the output tubes. And I need to put in, and in this design, those grid leak resistors are bypassed by 68 picofarad capacitors. I'm trying to remember the reasoning, I think, for those has to do with slugging the dominant pole on the response and sort of masking any variation in the input capacitance of the individual tubes. So where are we? And so that's where we are. We are, God, we are actually, we being me, I am actually getting rather close to the end. The this stuff's the hardest part, you know, wiring up the input and phase splitter stages, always a bit of a pain. Everything, you know, it's like you got the two triodes right there, you got, you know, two stages right all crammed in there, and then the output stage, you know, it's really pretty light and airy, as it were. Yeah. So let me. So I have it. Sorry, the muttering. Just trying to see whether I believe that I might be done with this part of the amp. We've got regulated power here and here, so I've got separate regulators for the supplies for each channel on the input and phase splitter stages. Of course, just going straight off the well, I've got a CLC filter for the primary B plus, the B plus to the output stage, and yeah, uh-oh, this will go here. No, this will go here. Oh, I shouldn't have closed that plug. Oh well, no biggie. But I've been waiting to put it in until I had the stuff that was going to need to be underneath it done. Because there's not really a great place to closet this thing away, you know. It's going to have to go in there something. Oh, geez, there's still not even really all that much room for it to exist. It's kind of a drag. I'll figure something out, even if it's just like there's literally not room, is there? Well, it's a future me problem. All right. Yeah, I might just need to bend that one over, but not a lot of room. Not going to do that right now. Let's get the components together for the output stage. Capacitors. Need 470s, and I need 68 P's. I hope I've got 470s. Let's see. Because I need like 4 of them. I have 4. rather over voltaged, but that's not bad. I tend to, oh wow, I've got, yeah. I mean, these would be ideal for the purpose, but I've only got two. BV, Morgan Jones, Beavis Valley, Beaver. Okay. Yeah, these I think are what I originally used on my Beaver Valley amp. Maybe I used them. Anyway, these are 25 volts. It'd be plenty for cathode bypass, but I've only got the two, and I don't want to like use different capacitors on like different channels. So, and I just I tend to. I don't go in and buy a bunch of capacitors at various voltages. I just tend to buy a bunch of capacitors at a high enough voltage that I'll be able to use them for most purposes. And these are good. These are Nichicons, UHE. I don't know, it's not ringing a bell. Anyway, they're Nichicons. They're good. 4 of them here. How many did I get originally? 5? Really? What did I get these for? Oh no, I had 10. I got 10. All right. I was just trying to make sure that the, that these weren't reserved for some other project. But oh. All right, those and 68 Picos. Oops. I only have 2 of those. But that's not true because I got a whole other envelope full of them. Because I thought ahead, and when I ran low, I bought new ones. Aren't I clever? Which reminds me, I'm going to need to buy some more of these or something to serve that purpose. Anyway. Okay, there we go. And 470K grid leak resistors. There we go. Right. Make sure these are effectively the same thing. Picofarad 100 volt, C0G and P0, made by Kemet. And he's also Kemet. Yes, these are also Kemet, even also made in Mexico. Sorry, these have a lot code on them, and I'm trying to see if I can find the lot code on here. Not because I think it matters, but just because I'm curious. Like, what if, I mean, I bought them over a year apart. I don't find that number on here. Oh, well, whatever. I just want to make sure it was cool to use the last 2 of these and 2 of these, and they'd be effectively the same. And they are basically the same. Well, I mean, they are the same. It should be the same. I guess I could measure them, but who cares? Put this back. What else needs to go back in there? Okay. Cathode pin is pin 3. It's still broadcasting, right? Yeah. Let's make sure this will suffice. None of these pieces. Yep, no problem. Yeah. Why do I have these up? Anybody? 100 picofarad capacitors. I think I don't need them. I'm just curious why they're out. Sorry to leave you hanging. I just, I don't know. You know, it's like I see a component out on my bench and I'm like, well, what's this doing here? I don't think I need it. Sure, I must need to put it away, but why is it out in the first place? Surely it wasn't for no reason. And, but, you know, none of you need to care about that. So, shut up and get on with it, dude. Ow. These need replacing, these do not. Okay. Oh, it's so exciting when we're closing in like this, isn't it? Because I think this is just, yeah, I mean, Bob, what are you talking about? Anyway, I am monitoring the uplink. Anyway. It's like, I could finish this. I could finish this. Right? Right? These just need to go from pins 3 to ground. Oh, hold on now. Because the grid leaks actually need to go from here and here. That's no problem. That's no problem. That's where these need to go. And the bypass caps just from pin 3 to ground. So just boom, 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 boom. Cool. Okay. And these are just all the same. That's not gonna reach. No. Oh, not really gonna reach. Oh, that's just not. Just barely not long enough. Oh man. Could I cheat? Move the bus a little bit? Scooch it? I'm just being silly. That's just not. God, that's so close. Just right here. Oh, wow, that might actually work. I don't know if I like that, but golly, Miss Molly, over the top like that. It's kind of, but, bend that over, and then it doesn't look so bad. Yeah, it's no problem. How about this? Does that go? Yeah. Because what I would rather do, so I've got grid leak bypass, and be nice not to have to mess with all the leads on both ends. So it's fun to just bypass like so. There. And that's just super friendly. Let's screw it up, dog. So now we've got the grid leak and its friend capacitor. And it will nicely go from there to there. It'd be nice if it were not so stretched, but it's fine. But this particular one, I will first put in the one that needs to go there. All right. Clippy, clippy. So Bob, aren't you like on Eastern time? I can't remember where the Michigan's Eastern time, or you must be a night owl like me. Mm. Sworn those are gonna be no problem. This is not the exact one that I checked, is it? are closing in. It's so exciting. I got you, Bob. My sleep schedule has never been the same since I had kids. That's my excuse. That in graduate school. But I can't blame graduate school. Definitely sleep schedule just has a tendency to get messed up. I'm susceptible to delayed, whatchamacallit, biorhythm, not biorhythm, but biological clock, just tends to want to get pushed back and back and back. You just so cute. Look at that. All right, one more. Hmm. Okay, that's all of them. Just need to solder them onto the bus. I'm not super thrilled that one's such a tight stretch, but you know what? It'll be fine. Um, All right. Bypass caps for the cathodes, power supply, filter cap, and then then it'll be done. Holy shit. All right. Concentrate, cathode, ground. Not even reach. Oh yeah, that reaches. That's fine, right? That's fine. That's nice. And neat. All right. Hmm. So Bob, I just was thinking, you're talking about the store name Alden's, and I was recalling you were talking about, sending me that amp via freight, and now I might need to get Alden to help me carry it. And thinking, yeah, I should have had him help me with something recently. So I've been working on a video about Design Acoustics D8s that I got a while back. They're like 70 pounds each, and I needed to bring them upstairs from the basement to put them into the system, give them a proper trial, Well, nobody else was home, and I wanted to just get her done, So I friggin' took those things up the basement steps by myself. OMG, I am not a young man. Those things, that wore me out. Oh my God. So yeah, anyway, just thought I'd share. They're awesome speakers though. Actually pretty surprised with how awesome they sound. Working on a video about them. Just, time, man, time. We can all relate to that, right? All right, let's solder this down. I believe the one thing remaining is this chunky Rubicon 450 volt 100 microfarad BXW capacitor to just over engineer the heck out of this regulated power supply here. Just way more capacitance on the output than is necessary, but you know what? It's okay. I got it. I can do it. It'll be awesome. Make room first. Make room for your head. About that. About that. How about that? Will that? Oh shit! That will just fit. Oh, that is special. But I need to make a spot. I filled that hole before I should have. So, dun dun dun. Waiting for it to warm up. There it is. Let's make some room. Nice. Pin. Just gonna stay there for me. Is it true? Can I close the lug hole? Green. Oh, yellow. Okay. Last joint. Make it a good one. I obsess over power supplies, man. Yes, indeed, they're in the signal path. That's it. I mean, you know, batten some things down and so on, but that's it. You know what this calls for. Hold on. Sorry to leave you hanging. Obviously. Cheers. Just refreshing myself in the comments here. Yeah. Design acoustics, man, they are big and they're interesting sounding. Anyway, so that's like a video that I've got in my editor, and it's, you know, it's a lot of footage to work through. But it's coming. You know, I might have gotten it done this weekend had I not also had to do a field trip, and hey, had I not decided to build. It's nice to be able to combine building and YouTube too. So here's to that. All right, I think it is time to sign off, because now the stream has just turned into drinking, and you know, this is a family show after all, or whatever. But I think I better sign off. I mean, obviously it's, you know, look, it's done. Still need to go through, check every joint, you know, all that stuff, right? All the stuff that you do before you plug in something that's going to be have high voltage in it. But it's essentially done, even though not really essentially done, in the sense of there's still potentially significant work. Testing, of course. I mean, even if everything's just fine, it still needs to be tested. I'm real eager to find out just how those output transformers perform, whether they can hold a candle to the vintage Dynacos. And if they can, that would be pretty cool for a lot of us, I think. So here's to that. Anything? Yeah, I'm getting really low on single malt. This is my last single malt. I really need to take some of those YouTube bucks and get to the liquor store, get me something nice. Anyway, I'm postponing. I don't know why I'm hanging on here. Anyway, it's been nice. I really appreciate y'all hanging out with me and chiming in now and again as I do the building on this thing. And I don't know if I'll do another live stream on this one. I might, hell, I've done a couple of live streams on the build. Maybe I can do a live stream on the testing. We'll see, huh? And I'm kind of excited. Just like a little girl. Okay, I'm getting silly now. What are the blue things? Which blue things? Wire strippers? Echo? Blue number things? You mean in here? Or random notes written on blue tape? Am I being dense? I'm not trying to be dense. Oh, I I don't even know. I think that means you're hot shit in terms of my channel. I think, but here's the weird thing. It's like I thought. Let me click on it, see what happens. Oh, it's like it's a leaderboard. But then so True Voice of Reason is at number 1. Bob, you're only at number 2. Guitar All is at number 3. And so you get the little crowns and the numbers. But Bob, how did you go from being number 1 and then all True Voice of Reason had to do was chime in once, twice, and he's number 1 again? Yeah, I don't know, man. They're just juicing you up, man. Don't believe the hype. Yeah, right? And what are you doing up? Oh my God. Both of you. It's friggin' 3 a.m. where you are. Closing in on it anyway. I mean, that's like me territory. That's like my usual dead time. It's only midnight here now. Almost, that is. Been streaming a while. Anyway, I really do appreciate. Yeah, I know. I really do appreciate y'all tuning in, and I guess I better say goodbye. Good night. I mean, I will. I think I'll do this again. I mean, it's kind of fun. It's not. Well, good. Good night, everybody. I am enjoying this, and if y'all are enjoying it, then I'll keep doing it. I mean, it's not like the view numbers are, oh my god, but whatever, doesn't matter. So the only downside is I can't listen to music while I'm doing it, and that is a downside. Let's be clear. Anyway, one more cheers for the road, and I will sign this off. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let me flip this around. I'll give you one more. Give you one. I want to look up my nose. Weirdos. All right. How do I even sign off? Oh dear. I just hit the X. Old man at technology. Good night, y'all.